Hi all, you may have seen the short where I mention about stress, which can impact your physical, mental, and emotional being. And if you haven't, in this video, I'm going to discuss stress and all forms of stress which impact our hormonal health, which can translate into the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. I'll go through each of the four and give you the signs of what you could feel within those areas, and we'll discuss this a little bit more. So tune in with me. We're all going to benefit from this because we've all been stressed and we all will still get stressed again. Now, the nervous system as a whole is the key to our health. When the nervous system is out of whack and the nervous system is not corresponding in its best sense to translate whatever it needs to send messages to the physical functions, mental, emotional, spiritual, then we get out of balance. Now, stresses of different types, whether it was physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual, all contribute to the overall load on the body and the impact of the nervous system. So can you see how it circulates? While we often think that mental stress may be the first thing we think of when we hear the word stress, like sometimes we just think about how it mentally affects us. It's not the only factor that contributes to stress, and that's why I'm doing this video. I think it's really important. Stress is stress. To understand how stress builds up and can overflow if not managed properly, we can use the analogy of bucket of water. Each stressor that we encounter can be thought as a drop of water in that bucket. And over time, as more and more stressors contribute and the water level increases, so the drips of water keep going in the bucket, and obviously the water level increases. Just as the bucket can only hold so much water before it begins to overflow, the body is the same. It can only tolerate a certain amount of stress before it begins to experience negative consequences within those four elements I spoke about, which we're going to dive in deeper: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. When the stress levels exceed our capacity to cope, we all have a capacity, all right? We may experience some symptoms of depression, anxiety, physical illness, impaired cognitive function. So you can see how those are four examples of the four different elements. For example, experiencing physical pain or illness can increase emotional stress and vice versa. Similarly, financial stress can impact our mental and emotional stress and well-being, and vice versa. So you can see how they all interlink. All types of stress contribute to the overall stress load on the body, and that managing stress requires a holistic approach that addresses all sources of stress and getting to the root cause of stress. You might have heard me say in a video or two where we can take medication to help us, especially around mental health, I mean mainly. But what is the root cause? Unless we try to look into the root cause and help ourselves that way, or get someone to help us, it might mean this medication that could have been temporary to aid us turns into lifelong. And unfortunately, when it comes to certain stuff like antidepressants, etc., granted, some of us need it for a very long time, but the doctors prescribe it so easily for a lifetime. And so, taking it as an aid, but also trying to get to the root cause can help you come off it, basically. So, the managing of stress does require the holistic approach, and it addresses then all sources of stress. I found with clients that I work with, and just through my education, that if the sources of stress are not addressed, healing the body becomes very difficult. So you know that I'm also an energy healer, and I do like yoga healing methods of certain postures to release emotional stress, even energy blocks or trauma from the body, different energy healing methods that I do, not just around yoga. And I also do therapy sessions, and cognitive therapy. So it's really what I've seen, that it becomes a bit more difficult when the actual stress is not addressed, because you can temporarily suppress it or take it away, but if we're not addressing the main root, it's going to come back, all right? However, it's also important to recognize that not all stress is bad. Intentional stress is important in certain areas of our lives and habits, needing to facilitate healing. It's chronic, unrelenting stress that needs to be addressed. So, did you know these about stress? A little bit of insight there for you. I promised that I would go into the 4 elements that I believe can get impacted by stress. And if you know my channel, I work on the physical, mental, and emotional, overall health, and your soul, your spiritual being. And these are the elements that can be, I believe, impacted by stress and not have a knock-off effect in other areas, like mental onto physical, physical onto mental, etc. So physical signs could be you're not getting enough sleep, there is injury, there's too much exercise, there's poor nutrition and diet. That can cause stress, okay? That can cause stress physically, but can also cause stress then to translate into other areas. Signs or things that can affect your work, your mental health in terms of stress on mental health, work deadlines, managing the household. So if you've got work, you've got kids, you've got house to look after the house, etc., that can be very stressful. Perfectionism, when you're a perfectionist, it can cause a lot of mental stress, a lot of mental anguish and anxiety. And I'm smiling because sometimes I can get overwhelmed with it. And I'm a lot better since being a coach, but I can understand anyone who finds that stressful. Overstimulated. Are you overstimulated with your laptop, your phone, your social media, etc.? That, if you don't know, can cause you mental stress. Have you ever noticed where you go on vacation and don't use your phone so much, you feel a lot better? And that's because of the less stimulation of the things that can overstimulate you. Emotional. Things that can knock that out of balance is a loss of a loved one, so grieving, a loss of any family member or someone, like I said, I say a loved one because it can be a friend, it can be anything, it can be a pet. Breakup or divorce is a big one. Betrayal and being betrayed, like cheated on as well, is a big one. Loneliness and isolation is also a big one. So those are the things that can cause examples of stress in terms of translation into emotional imbalancement, which obviously translates into the other areas and then overall impacts hormonal health. Spiritual, and this is why I'm also a spiritual coach or life purpose coach, is because a lack of purpose, all right, conflicts of your values, disconnected from nature, disconnected from yourself, and feeling totally unfulfilled, whether within yourself, whether within your life, whether within your purpose, just feeling unfulfilled right now in your life or for a very long time. So that also probably tells you why I've qualified and become a coach within different areas, and also I touch base on the spiritual and soul side, if you know my videos and content, because it's very important, which is why I also do the life purpose and life coaching. So I hope this was helpful for you all. As always, it's a short video where you can have lots to take away, but without the extra blabbing, the fluffiness. The icing on the cake is there with the cherry on the top. So I hope you have a lovely day wherever you are. Give me a like, subscribe so you get notified of all content. And you know what, if you want me to cover any content, please let me know in the description box below. Please also let me know our physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health. Which one do you feel is impacting you the most right now? If you want to work with me separately, if you want to work with me, email me in the description box below. My services are on my website as well. Either way, you can have a 10-minute consultation and we can see what your goal is. There will be a form to fill up. but I'm sure we can get you where you want to be, whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally, or in alignment with your life. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in our next video. Bye for now.